This is your Clarion Call. Stand, rise, do what it takes, commit to your cause. This is your Clarion Call. This is your rallying cry. Whether you know it or not, the odds currently appear grossly stacked against us. What do I mean? Well, with today's focus being the pillar of hustle, we must engage with the very real possibility that the money we have been earning has been devaluing month by month, year by year, for many, many years. And through creative accounting and outright trickery, the governments of the world have utterly lied when it comes to exposing the real rates of inflation, meaning the real world value, the actual buying power of the money in your pocket is diminishing week by week, month by month, year by year, as things almost inexplicably rise in costs beyond levels we have seen for decades. And these combining factors mean that many of us are looking around as business owners and wondering, Jesus, where did all the sales go? Where are all the customers who may buy? And you may have noticed this, and particularly you may have noticed that buying times, like lead times, have increased. And the key here, the reason I bring this impassioned call today is because there is no one coming to save us. The pension pots are fundamentally broke. I will not get a pension from the state. Fact. And nor will my children. And if you do not have at least £500,000 saved, then your ability to have any kind of income that gets close to the national average wage in this country, in the UK, of £27,500 or so, it's non-existent. So for us as business owners over 50, for us who are taking on this insane challenge in later life of building a business, of creating a life where we can thrive across all four pillars of health, happiness, home and hustle, my clarion call to you today, my rallying call to you today is to stay the course, to commit to your cause, because we need you. The only way out actually now is with our own two hands, with our hearts connecting with each other, supporting each other, recognizing that those we have vested our trust in, those who we have allegedly placed in positions of leadership, whether we had a choice over it or not, are woefully unfit for purpose. And that indeed we have a global system that is woefully unfit for the purpose of fostering and cultivating and nurturing humanity. We are, to all intents and purposes, unless we choose to do something about it, unless we choose to claim our own path, we are but pawns in the game of others. Others who time and again have demonstrated they do not have humanity's best interests at heart. At best, they view us as cattle, as useless mouths that must be fed, who may be able to do some halfway useful work. And that, of course, in an age of rising AI, even that value to them is diminishing. So, what is the alternative? If we cannot assume that our financial security is assured through things like a state pension, then the only recourse we have is to take matters into our own hands. And that is why more than ever before I believe the cause of greater life to be utterly essential. The cause of supporting business owners over 50 to thrive. Because this goes beyond just the pensions. Mike was having a conversation with a friend the other day who's quite high up in the NHS, and saying that so many NHS trusts are millions and billions of pounds in debt, and indeed are very close to becoming utterly insolvent, just like our pension funds. And so there could come a very real day very soon when the NHS as we know it no longer exists. What then? How do we then support each other in our health? And I do not want this to be fear-mongering, doom and gloom, fear porn. No, none of that. Rather, to say that actually we must face what we must face. The possibility that if we cannot rely on these systems of government and leadership to provide for us, even though we have done our part, then taking matters into our own hands looks like being prepared as business owners to build the kinds of wealth that would mean we can take care of our neighbour genuinely. Because if the NHS can no longer provide and our neighbour breaks their leg, well then, how do we ensure that our neighbour can walk again? And we take that as a metaphor. How do we ensure that when we get knocked down, we have the methods, the systems in place to ensure that we can walk again? And let's be clear that on a daily basis it can feel like we are being knocked down, that our legs are being broken. And I believe, first and foremost, it must come down to choice, to choosing to believe that we are capable of creating a way that works for all. And that indeed there is a force through all life that aligns with love, that supports the most loving outcome to occur, and that when we align ourselves with that force, then we become conduits for a prosperity, an abundance, and an impact beyond anything we can conceive through our own minds. And all of this is very fresh in the forming. It's only recently I've come across the staggering news around the true rates of inflation, and therefore have had the cause of greater life galvanised and catalysed even more. So this is just your clarion call, saying we are needed. We cannot rely on anyone else, and we as business owners are the ones who have the capacity to create the resources and solve the problems that are so urgently required. So today, recommit to your cause. This is your clarion call.